I thought this too.
My grand nephew is still talking about. Dusty Camp.
Oh, serious?
We, better 10, we were downtown the other night, and we queued up. Spending asking. I said, they were up there.
Middle of the end. Good.
He is so dedication.
For the.
Love it.
His wife is.
Yeah.
She's in.
So he's familiar. Cool.
He knows what he wants. And it's
That's pretty cool.
It is.
Yeah.
Where would you work?
Very good.
I think we're It's really easy walk. I love it.
Oh, you got it too.
They're shorter, so.
Yeah. You know, that's some money after all. Proud.
Let's go home.
She told me we were last, we were gonna.
I gotta meet this guy.
And then when I talked to
Michael, good job. There we go. Whoever hit number 4, that's not.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm leaving it to the sheriff.
tonight fight night. Maybe they'll come,
I've only been hit twice. Well, either of them hit. And I don't think anybody other than the owner of the boat. My first boat was 83 and I was. I mean, that's a good one.
That's 2 years. In which case.
Literally didn't have to deal. It was a big project.
I mean, is that beyond economic?
I don't know what's going on.
Anybody know who hit it?
We're leaving that to the sheriff. It's all been, everyone's talking and nobody knows, so it's gonna get messy.
There's gotta be a boat out there with a big old.
Where's your boat? I mean, I know you
Mechanical
can't.
problems.
Oh.
Jim.
And the part's hard to get, but they got it and it's in and should be here any day.
So what other Volvo is not running?
Just the controller to the, just to the shift box, that's all. Nothing important. Okay.
Oh.
And I'm really glad I just like.
You are you. You're not Brown Bill, you're Bill Brown. Good mate.
Oh, good. I thought it was something wasn't working. Three transfers.
Who is that NM40, you know?
They replaced the. No power. Quickly.
They only saw thunder pictures.
Very good.
Between that and the,
Just a man in the middle. Yeah, I saw that.
We were down by the state park and I saw the plume and smoke coming up over the horizon.
So that's why.
Not worth fixing, but a different thing. No.
Chips in.
In that terrible.
I'm here right now.
Tell them you've been there.
Much to Thomas.
What did you say?
Been down the road.
I already know it.
The kids is in for it.
And,
We got a shirt for it.
right, it is 4 o'clock. Welcome all to the July required July meeting of the Harbor Commission. Victor, would you do a roll call, please?
Yes, Greg Fisher,
Here.
Bill Brown,
Here.
Jeff James,
Here.
Bill McCullough,
Here.
Tim Bartlett,
Here.
Ken Scott Nolan, here, Laura Cordes,
Here.
John T. Baker, here, Tom Graham Jr.
Here.
And we have Chip Everest appearing via Zoom. So he can participate, but can't vote. We have a quorum.
And Chip wins the attendance from furthest away today as he's in Croatia.
Was that right?
I admire the dedication.
You bet. It's only 10 o'clock here.
Let me see both hands. Is there, oh, there we go. For those who may not be aware, the Harbor Commission is required to have 3 meetings June, July, and August. This is one of them. The agenda today is not gigantic, which is not atypical. Usually the work is done in the spring, the fall, and this stuff, so don't think it's because we don't care, it's just not more items up. I guess. First item up today is approval of the minutes from our regular meeting of June 8th, which were included in the packet. Any corrections?
Approved as presented.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Approval of agenda. Anybody have any other items? Is that by consensus? My favorite part of the meeting, public comment. Garo, I've never heard you this quiet.
And it's up to you.
All right, thank you all for coming. Appreciate that. Old business, we have none with that. New business, Harbor Master update.
Ready?
I think so.
Well, this will be a quick meeting.
Hope so.
I'm trying not to
Wow.
be too verbose.
Record pacer.
First off, huge thanks to Lucas and his DPW staff and also to Rachel for their really super hard work for July 4th. The place was immaculate, both sides of July 4th, and those guys continue to do a really good job for us for sure. The other piece of good news, several pieces of good news, the new power poles are in at Squire Electric. We'll see those installed in probably this fall or maybe early spring, depending on how the weather works out for us. It was kind of a surprise that they showed up, but they're here and they're stored at the DPW right now undercover, so they won't be damaged in the meantime. We'll be replacing the finger pier in slips 57 and 58. We've had some wobbling issues with that pier, and especially prominent over this year. We had some buckling of the sheet steel underneath the dock. So Cody Carmichael came down from Foundation Docks last week and took a look at it, took some pictures, and we discovered that we really had some damage to that dock. So that'll be replaced hopefully this fall. And I believe it's already been approved by City Council.
Oh, it's going to council.
It's going to council? Okay, yep. What else? Oh, we touched briefly, and I think it was our May meeting about mooring lights. Kyle and I have discussed this yet this morning. I've been in touch with Jim Raymer for the pertinent section of, I guess it's called the Code of Ordinances regarding mooring lights in the mooring field and how to define the mooring field. We're not required, or boats in our mooring field, designated mooring, are not required to have mooring lights. Anybody outside that area in the harbor boundary, including Harbor Point and parts of Wequatansi, is required to have a mooring light displayed at all times. Especially important after the collision, I guess, between somebody coming into the bay at night the other night and almost destroyed Building 4, which had just undergone a 4-year refit. So I think it's probably time for us to draft, and Kyle and I are going to talk about this at the end of the meeting. I've drafted kind of a temporary email and letter to the Harbor Point Association, asking them to enforce that mooring lights with their association members. And also, we're going to be sending those individuals emails to make sure that they try to comply as much as they can with that. It's something that when I worked at the boat shop years ago, mooring lights were required before you even bothered to take a boat out to the mooring. And John Baker, I think the other night, noticed that there's quite a few boats still out there that are not carrying mooring lights. Jim's observed it. Dean's observed it as well. So between Kyle and myself and Dean, we'll be putting that letter together. See if we can get some compliance. It's not, as far as we know, a ticketable offense. It's more of a admonition, I guess, for lack of a better word. So we're going to have Jim Raymer look into that, I guess, if we need to go any further with that. So
I'm surprised to hear that, Michael. I thought it was a ticketable offense.
I
Let's
went
see what
to
Jim says.
what I could find in federal code regarding mooring lights. doesn't say anything, it's ticketable or punishable, but I guess we need to research that further with Jim's
Yeah,
help,
let's,
so.
let's find out. In
Before
the
I
past,
send
I'm
a
sure
letter, I
we
think-
written tickets. Now, whether they were legal tickets or not, I don't know. I know in the past.
Talked to Dean about it and it's been so long. I mean, he's the one that educated me. I didn't have a clue, you know, and he's like told me about the Ardmore field and we end the point. But he, to his knowledge, hadn't written one in a long time, if he did.
Well, I'm thinking back when I had Mike's job, that
Okay.
we were after that. So maybe things have changed. I don't know.
I'm certainly think that an association in Harbor Point, if they require it, because they allow their members to use the moorings. And we simply need to tell them if they don't have mooring lights, they don't get a mooring. So we can enforce it a different way, maybe, after your letter goes.
Okay. You would like to see the letter first before we send it out to the association? You
No.
shoot it everybody in an email?
I don't think
No.
you guys can do it.
Okay.
The riparian rights are to the association as opposed to the individuals.
Right.
Correct.
Because it's all corporate property.
Yeah.
And Greg's comment is a good reason why it's good to have somebody from Harbor Point on the Harbor Commission, because we have a line into those folks.
Thanks, Greg. Over the last couple of days, I've contacted both the harbor masters in Charlevoix and Petoskey, was unable to reach out to Barb Brooks and Boyne City to sound them out on how their boating seasons are progressing. Charlevoix reports their reservations are down by about 25%. While they were full on the 4th of July, they've had several vacant slips ever since on either side of the 4th. The Boyne Thunder this past weekend was an anomaly for them as well. They typically see their marina completely full with some of those race boats. And Bob Tomer right there did a great job handing out cards at the end of the dock on Saturday. I saw some video. Nice job. Petoskey's in the same boat. They've seen $7,000 less in fuel sales to the same date as they had last year. They had empty slips on both sides of the 4th, and they've had a record number of reservation cancellations. And I talked with both Denny and with Mark, the harbor master in Petoskey, and they both attribute that to fuel costs. People just are willing to spend that kind of money to move the boats around for long distances, which has seen us having boats stay longer. So, which helps us out quite a bit, bottom line. So to the numbers, on our side of the bay, total boat registrations through today, that counts duplicate registrations, total close to 200. In 2021, by this date, we had 256 registrations, so that traffic's a little down. By this date in 2021, we totaled $95,000 in revenue. Today's date, we'd seen $84,000.36. So we're kind of holding our own, but I think that's going to be symptomatic of the rest of the summer until gas prices start to drop, and it was $4.69 at the pump last night, which was a total surprise. Regatta fleet still at 100 boats. We're going to be seeing 35 to 40 of those at the city marina. So we'll be in good shape for that regatta. And that's what I've got. Oh, and also Carol pointed out to me the other day that we've had several vacant kayak racks down at Ford Park and also down at Zoll Street. Kind of a record number of empty spots. We do
That's
inventory.
not gas related.
Oh, no, but just
People gas.
Yeah.
from a waiting list standpoint, I guess more than anything else, and helping people out with kayak spaces. We inventory that rack every week. When I went down there yesterday, at 7 o'clock in the morning, there were 24 empty spots down there. And I'm pretty sure those folks weren't on the water. So I've drafted a letter saying that the drop dead date for having your kayak in your spot is July 15th, which is the beginning of that 29-day occupancy period. Anybody that doesn't comply with that 29 days will be getting a letter from us saying their right to reserve that spot for 2023 is revoked. And we'll just move on to the wait list from there. So to me, it seems like we have an awful lot of placeholders out there. Reluctant to say that you have to mandate usage of your vessel, which we've never done. But it just seems to me that it's kind of a waste of everybody's time to have an occupied space all season long. So try to crack down on that. The same thing with the moorings.
Do we have that same issue on the moorings, the vacant ones that aren't being used?
No,
Because I don't recall seeing very many.
no, we do have some situations I like to resolve with vessels that really shouldn't be out there on a mooring just as a placeholder. So we're addressing that as well. So, yeah.
You're trying to do that kayak event this year or for next year, July 15th?
That's this year.
Friday. Really? Wow.
Yep. It's 29 days between the 28th of June and August 15th. The same thing for docks and moorings. And that drop dead period starts on the 15th.
It's a sliding window.
Mike, is that in our contract? A kayak contract?
It is in
It's
the
already
wording in your kind of contract.
In the kayak rental?
Yep.
Okay, good.
As
You
is.
email these people and you say you have till the 15th to either put your kayak on there or
They'll get an email.
sayonara. Wow.
And if it becomes blatant that it's not gonna be there, then we'll have to solve that issue. And that's my report.
One simple question for you. What have you heard from the DAC, that rendezvous thing that's right after the
I
regatta?
hate to say it, but she's gone dark on me again.
Surprise.
Yeah, it was 20 votes and then it became 10. And the last I heard from her, which was about a month ago, was down to 8 votes. So I've sent her several emails over the past week and have not heard back from her. So it'll be a phone call tomorrow because I really need to know because I'd like to be able to help people out coming off the water. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, Bill.
A question of observation, and I waited until the meeting so that you're here and Chief Knight is here as well. The honor system for the pass is a great one. And I was talking to the officer on Saturday. One of the problems with it is this is what's on the inside the car to be visible. There's no correlation between this and this because you have the only key. And if this isn't dated, which he was giving tickets for not being dated, then you don't know how long it's been there. Apparently it's a way people are pulling in and parking with a trailer, nothing on it.
Mhm.
They didn't launch already. It's a parking spot. They pull in, take one of these, whether they put anything in it or not, no one seems to know. I certainly do not. And then they fill this out. Some cases, as they say, they do not put a date on it, thinking that they can use it day after day.
Mhm.
But I watched and spoke to the officer on Saturday, and he was issuing tickets to the same guy and for the same reason. But other folks will date them because it's basically free parking and a place to park, even if you don't have anything on your trailer. So I don't know what the match is for dollars. It's $5, I know. But I don't know how many times they're empty or how many times they're not in there. And I just happen to think the honor system works, except when it doesn't work. And
Periodically, I will go in there and I'll verify what's in there with what's part.
what's out there, yeah.
But not all, I would say I don't do it all the time.
Like I said.
Periodically, just as a checkpoint, Michael, actually we started last year. He gave me the code so that I can get in there and pull out what's in there to match to make sure that what they pay for or not pay for. Right.
It's an issue of parking, really what it is. When people figured out how to park and not have to pay to park and not be bothered all day, it works out really well. And had I not been there early to get the boat ready for racing, I wouldn't have noticed. And I went back the next day and the same vehicles were there. So I went and looked, and some had a date, some had a new date. I mean, the actual date, and others didn't. I thought they'll get a ticket, but apparently they view that as, so what? It's a ticket, I got a place to park.
But those tickets are $50.
Yeah, I know, but for some people, it doesn't matter.
And we did put a combination lock in that box that Colin, his guys have the combination to, so if they're down there checking, they have a way to backtrack. Yeah.
But it's a good point. It's a good point.
It's just an observation. I wanted to share, but everybody was here, so no argument.
Is the denomination your choice, or is it say what it costs?
No, it's $5.
It's $5. Right, but there's so many envelopes in the case. I mean, the numbers are not in sequence. And I don't know that MJ has the time to actually hand them out to make sure that someone is actually paying. And, because I've been stopped a number of times. You got any change? I don't carry change for 100 for me in the morning. I'm sorry, I'm going sailing, No, I don't have any change. And you're not going to put a $100 bill in there, I know. So whether they ever do or not, I couldn't tell you. But it's just, like I said, an observation.
What does it cost to run the Ford Park?
To run Fort Park?
I don't have that off the top of my head.
Okay.
There's a lot.
Is there any full-time staff there?
No,
No.
I mean, we have part-time staff that monitor that, right? We have Mary Jane, Michael's crew, the parks crew, they go there, but we don't have anyone full-time there in the summer.
Which is why I'd like to bring up the fact that we probably need to get Mary Jane some help down there on Saturdays and Sundays. I mean, she does a wonderful job down there, but she's also in her 90s. And I'd like to find somebody or hire somebody to come in there on Saturdays and Sundays to help her out, especially in the 4th of July. Pay them, whatever it takes to make sure we have somebody responsible in there and just somebody to keep track of what happens, not so much on the water, but in that parking lot, which can be a zoo. As
It is a zoo.
It was on Glen Thunder after that. It was crazy down there.
And it's difficult for her because,
She
being in
is
the
back.
hot, being in the hot sun is not exactly great, so she sits back a bit.
Yep.
And people don't know who she is, and
Yep.
basically she can't be everywhere.
Yep.
Or see everything, so. yeah.
In her mobility, it's like, I mean, she's not, no, I mean, I give her credit for being down there, but if she sees something, it's not like she can get right to it.
Yeah.
Plus, if somebody confronted her, that would be first.
And she has confronted people about drinking, and they do something about it, but they just go someplace else, that's all.
So I agree with you.
The other was, and I spoke to JB about this some time ago, we obviously live in a very litigious society, and the city takes great pains in making sure that you have proof of ownership, registration, and insurance if you're running a mooring ball. It one step further to have the same proof of ownership and registration on tenders and dinghies. It won't take much in the way of damage before that becomes an issue. And there's no correlation between I have a dinghy and I have a mooring, but I don't have a place to put the dinghy because, and again, it doesn't fall to Michael, but I'm just suggesting as an idea for next year's registration to ask that as something else, proof of insurance and registration.
We've talked about that, Bridget and I have, and that's going to be added in next year's contract.
You're ahead of the game.
I'm ahead of, well, I don't know.
You're right behind the game.
Good show. Thank you. That's all I had. So my observations for the day, other than the fact that people go too fast on the water. But we already know that.
Chief, one thing your crew needs to be careful of, I buy a ticket when I launch my dinghy, and the ticket gets you a launch and a retrieval. I don't pull my dinghy out until fall or if something is wrong with it. So I put my $5 in the envelope, I put the deal on the dash, I launch the dinghy, and I take that, I put it in my glove box, and I put it back on when I go back a month or 2 or 3 months later to pull my dinghy out. So if you guys go to that box and they don't see the corresponding number in the envelope, they're gonna write me a ticket, but in fact, I'm doing the right thing.
Those $5 launch permits are for taking it and putting it in and taking it out, but they have the date on it, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, but if I launch, this year I launched the middle of June, and I won't pull my dinghy out until the end of September. So I'm gonna have that tab sitting on my dashboard with June's date, because that ticket gets you a launch and a retrieval. Don't pay $5 in and $5 out. So you gotta watch for that. That's the trick.
Well, we don't have any means of, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but
Yeah.
I
I'm
guess
just saying, let's be careful how much.
You're gonna get a ticket because if you don't have the right date,
you're gonna
you're
get
violating the law.
Well, I'm not. I mean,
According to the tab, it has to have the date. That's what the officer looks at.
and
if it
we
doesn't
assume
have a
that
date,
everybody is
particularly
launching
that
on the
date.
same date and going back at the same date. But we have people that launch and take a trip and, are gone for a night and then they come back, and so we could have trouble if we're using that to verify. So I'm open for,
What's the suggestion for curing?
I don't know, I'm just saying this is how it
If you do
goes.
that, why don't you just write the date you launch? And then when you're there to haul out, right? Hauling out from, you just write right on the tab.
Yeah, well, JB would know that because he's sitting at this
Everybody
table, but other people who
Yeah.
are involved in this,
Right.
but it's just a complication to think about, I think is. what
Yeah, no,
you know.
I agree. We've never, in the 6 years I've been here, we've never had it. And if somebody did have a dispute, I mean, we always err on the side of kindness. Say, I mean, we're not out necessarily to make money, we're out for compliance. And if that was the case, I don't know what you're saying. I just don't have the answer.
From a budget standpoint, Greg, your question is a good one. And I don't think Ford Park operates at a gigantic profit there. It's more looked at, or has been in the past, as a economical access for people to get to the water. And there has been a conscious decision, I think, by council and by Harbor Commission to not charge $20. Maybe it costs us $20 to run it. So maybe we got to revisit that as time goes on. That's it.
So when I pay my $35, it goes into the Ford Park Fund, right?
Goes to
For
the
my trip.
waterfront, goes to the waterfront.
It goes to the water, and then all the stuff that people pay for launch, and that goes to the waterfront.
To the waterfront, yes.
Yeah, it's all going into the same thing.
Right.
So to kind of
clarify on that, according to the piece of paper I have here, in 2021, we took in just over $13,000 of revenue for launch fees at the ramp. And I think the last time we replaced that ramp, it was $30,000+. So it's not just the lawn mowing and the keeping the restroom clean. There's also the maintaining the parking itself, the asphalt and all that sort of thing. So we don't have it compartmentalized quite to that degree.
Any other questions for Mike? Thanks, Michael. I appreciate you doing that work, canvassing the neighborhood. I was in Petoskey today and had that same talk. And like you said, the same thing. We just want to make sure it's not something we're doing, but this is going across the board. We just have to deal with it.
I've been hearing that from everybody that's been visiting us this year, Leland, Northport, everybody's in the same boat, traffic's down.
Here's an interesting thing though. I was trying to make a trip and make reservations and they're booked. So that people cancel closer to when they don't come. But if I thought I was going up cruising, I have no place to count on going and we're not anchoring anymore. So that's funny. And that's, people will pull the reservation now, but.
Where the reservation system says they're full.
That's
You call
exactly
the
what's
office
going
and
on.
they're like, oh yeah, we've got plenty of slots. So that's the difficulty with that reservation system, one of them.
Right, they are. I know that one.
Right, any other board comments?
I do
Yes,
have
Karen.
just a question on the Harbor Master Building. What's the latest on the redesign and?
We have a
Any
meeting
plan?
Friday, Michael, Victor, myself, and Laura Rose to discuss and she was one of the two women who did the original design stuff, so they have all the data, measurements, blueprints, and all that kind of stuff. To lay out parameters for coming up with a sketch for that thing and see if she's the right person to do it.
Great.
So we're on track.
Still moving. Yeah, that's great.
Since that was brought up, then I have a follow-up question to that. Somebody brought to my attention that on that drawing, that if you're coming down State Street, you're talking about tearing out part of that curb cut and moving it over. What is the reason
That's,
for that?
the project we're talking about is just
The laundry.
building,
Okay.
work on that. The rest of the traffic stuff is in the future with the city. So what we're addressing with is just.
Not related. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Lake level report for anybody who's interested. We're a little over a foot above long-term average, which is good, and trending down. So we may go from high water to low water here in a couple of years to see what happens. Any other comments from the table? Any comments from the floor?
I just have one more question.
Mhm.
When is the harbor survey, is that already been done?
The harbor survey has been on the website for a month. We just put a notice out in the newspaper today.
Oh,
And it should be another 3 or 4 weeks. I'll stop it a week before, so our next harbor commission meeting. We have about 105 responses. So keep us spreading the word.
I wasn't sure if it was done yet.
Probably another 3 weeks. Today's the 13th.
Yeah, Victor's been at it. So, all right, there being no. Yeah, Bob.
Just a quick one. On behalf of Boeing Thunder, we would like to thank all of you, city, commission, Mike, Kyle, for helping us have another huge success this year. We were able to dedicate a substantial amount of money to Camp Quality and Challenge Mountain. Again, for many years, we were the only support through this endeavor. I know it's not the most popular kind of boating. It's not my kind of voting, but we do it because the results are extreme. Thank you all for your cooperation and helping us do this.
You're welcome. All right, no further business. We are adjourned. See you all August 10th, 2022 at 4 p.m.
Have fun, Chip.
Thanks, Jake.